Thomas was looking forward to go to the cinema on Friday night. There was an exclusive invite only of a new zombie movie at 6, and right away there was a public screening at 8, which he was going to. He was really looking forward to the movie, as it promised to give a new cinema experience never experienced before. Thomas had an early dinner before heading out for the cinema. He finished his meal, then 5 minutes later he was driving to the cinema. He loved going to the cinema since he was a little boy. He knew that he loved the cinema since the very first time he stepped foot inside one. The local cinema was a 20-minute drive for him. He drove a bit faster because he didn't want to miss the start of the movie. He knew they would put on maybe 15 minutes of ads, so that gave him some extra time. When he arrived at the cinema, he went to get his ticket scanned, but was surprised there was a big crowd of people looking very upset. The person behind the counter said, "I'm sorry everyone, the cleaners are still in screen 7. We won't be long more. I'm very sorry for this. It's not cleaned yet." The crowd were growing more and more impatient, as it was now 8 o'clock. Thomas had patience, but this was driving him crazy. He was wondering would the movie be still on, or would he miss the start of it. The crowd were really irritated now with the long wait. He pretended to go to the bathroom, and as he was passing screen 7, he snuck in. He was waiting to be told it wasn't ready by the cleaners, but they didn't say anything. It was almost like the crowd from the premiere didn't even leave yet. It was so dark, it was hard to see. Thomas got out his torch. He always brought to the cinema to find his seat, as he liked it old school instead of using his phone's torch. He screamed when he could see there was a group of what looked like zombies coming for him. He said to himself it must be some sort of fancy dress for the premiere, until the lights came on, and he was then bombarded with the evil, twisted sight of what looked like zombies lying down in the ground in pools of blood. Out in the foyer, the crowd waiting were pleased to hear the man behind the counter say, "Okay everyone, sorry for the delay, but the cleaners have finished now. Ye are free to go into screen 7. Enjoy the movie." The crowd walked in to screen 7, really looking forward to see the movie. All their frustration was gone already, because all they wanted to do was watch the movie and enjoy it. When they went into screen 7, they could hear growling and couldn't register anything else, because that is when they were turned in to zombies. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Megan's mom was angry that she knew her daughter more than likely would come second and not first because of her neighbour's daughter Brooke always getting first place. It was an Irish dancing competition that was coming up, and this competition meant more to her than most, because when she was a kid herself, she won it, and she really wanted Megan to win it this year. Plus, it wasn't a local competition. They had to fly all the way to California, and the price of the tickets and all the rest of the expenses came to a very high amount. Megan was practicing for hours, on end every day in her living room to be perfect on the day. Megan's mom, Susan, sat on the sofa, making sure she put in the work. On the day of competition, Susan said to Megan, "Good luck." As she did, Brooke's mom said to Brooke, "Break a leg." Suddenly, Susan felt an idea hit her. A few minutes later, as Brooke was walking from the dressing room to the side of the stage, she had seen an envelope stuck onto the wall with her name on it. She wondered what it was and read, "Please walk down the stairs to your right to speak to an assistant about your performance." Brooke walked down the stairs, wondering what the assistant had to say. And as she walked down the stairs, she slipped on what was like a can or something. She tripped and fell and broke her leg. Susan heard the commotion while smiling to herself, telling herself that she had only manifested what her mom had asked of her daughter, which was break a leg. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Michael was trapped in a world that he knew he had to leave. It wasn't exactly a frightening, threatening world, but he knew it would be on the 666th day. He didn't know exactly why, but he knew with every fibre of his being that on that day his whole existence would end. He kept looking for a way out. He walked for what seemed like days and days through forests, and all he could see for miles and miles were trees and more trees, until he reached something else, something more strange, something different every time. There were magical kinds of beings, insects and horses, etc., even unicorns, but none of them were threatening. Still he lived in fear, dreading the 666th day in this world. The sky changed colour on different days. Some days there were even multiple moons in the sky, and various planets close by could be seen. It was day 665. Michael was in a high-security room in a sanatorium, where he had been since he started counting the 666 days. He was in there for his own safety. Since he had been locked up, he seemed to go downhill, especially in this room. The doctors couldn't understand why. They heard him scream over and over, different times, that he was going to die on the 666th day in this world. The doctors knew, of course, the room was empty, and there would be no objects in there that he could hurt himself with. On the 666th day, Michael was watching what looked like the Grim Reaper float up to him. Within seconds, a rope came around his neck and hung him. The doctors outside the room were in shock when they saw what looked like an invisible force lift Michael off the ground. And it was like an invisible rope hung him. By the time they entered the room, he had died. He was just floating in the air. And when they eventually did get him down, what they saw on his forehead sent a shiver down their spine. When they saw 666 carved into his forehead. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. I was new in town and had just found a new job in the local diner. I didn't mind the late hours, and plus it was extra money for me to buy the latest computer games and style I wanted to buy. I loved shopping, so as I worked in the diner, I just felt happy about getting my wage pack on Friday. I hopped on the bus to get my bus ride home, and as I got into the bus, I spotted a creepy-looking guy sitting in the back. It was late and I was on my own, but at least the driver was on the bus with me, and this creepy man also. It wasn't just me and him. I felt weird still. I felt like the guy's eyes were piercing through me, even though I couldn't see him. I just tried to relax and enjoy the bus ride home as much as I could in this strange situation. I then told myself, wait, I'm just on a bus with a weird-looking guy who is probably harmless. Nothing has happened. I looked behind and felt a shiver run through me, as I could have sworn he moved up a seat closer to me. I couldn't be sure, but when I turned around again, I knew for certain, as he was right behind me, sitting in the seat, smiling with such a sinister smile. I turned around and ignored him, and didn't look back. When I got home, I could see my dad's paper resting on the sofa, and I got such a fright when I saw the same creepy man's face staring up at me. And reading the headline, it said, "The man had been killed by a bus on the exact same bus route I took." I had then realised the man who was on the bus with me was a ghost. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content.